Well, first off, Canada was the better team last night. For anyone who watched, it felt like
I only watched
the U.S. had a hard time controlling the puck. It felt like there wasn't the same impact as far as the physicality. To some degree, the defense held up, but I also felt like, and the stats aren't always indicative of this, it just felt like when Canada had opportunities to score, they were a bit more legit. They were a bit more on net. It was some close calls. Maybe you want to say luck. But there was just moments where if you're watching as a fan of the U.S., you're kind of holding on to the edge of your seat, being like, okay, got by one there. Oh, okay, there's another one.
Bennington was unbelievable.
But you know what was super interesting
I don't know. He was
unbelievable.
I thought the USA's goal was just as good. And overtime was fine, but I'm saying, leading up to that point, I thought the U.S. was better defensively.
I watched
for the first 3 periods.
First of all, I watched the game because you guys made it a big deal on the show leading up to the game. That was first and foremost.
Well, it did get better ratings than the NBA All-Star game.
All right, and think about this. So then secondly, then it really dawned on me like, wow, what an amazing setup in a situation to play off of the NFL Super Bowl and everything that has happened during the course of this calendar year. You get the most ideal matchup in a sport that could be obscure to other categories, groups of people. And you guys are wondering where I'm going with this, right? Then it's like, they're not like us. They're not like us. Like, it's probably a minor. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, damn, Kendrick Lamar and Drake is sitting somewhere. Drake is sitting there proud, like, we finally won one this year. Yeah. Even though it took till 2025 to get it. But we got something. We won some. Canada won something. I'll let y'all down. Kendrick Lamar's been spanking my ass for a whole entire calendar year. Won awards off of going at me. Does it at the Super Bowl. And everybody's like pro-America and forgot about how dope Canada is. And lo and behold, here we go when it really mattered for us in a sport that really matters to us and to them. We won. We won. Drake won last night. And I was watching it, and as I'm watching it, I'm like, damn, I bet you Drake is sitting somewhere like, please don't lose. Please, please, please don't lose. Please. And it made it more interesting to me. And I just wonder how many people around the country that were in on this whole, which there's a lot of people that are connected to this Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef. And I'm telling you, somewhere Drake was sitting there, and it's going to come out at some point. He's going to reference that game, and he's going to try to use it as a way to say that I told you Canada is better than America.
Based on
it made it interesting.
Go ahead, Jonas.
Well, I was just going to say that based on the attire at the Super Bowl, the bell bottoms, I don't really see Kendrick Lamar as a hockey guy.
Flared pants, by the way. They call them flared these days.
It doesn't strike me as a hockey fan.
They don't call them bell bottoms anymore, Jonas. It's called flared bottoms.
Okay, hey, call them what you want.
I'm just telling you. Just telling you.
I don't know whose column it was I was reading about it, but it was kind of interesting. And they were playing on the adversarial position of the Drake-Kendrick Lamar conversation because the popular opinion, the easy thing to say, oh, Kendrick Lamar won this stuff. He hit Super Bowl, all this stuff.
Yep.
And they actually said the fact that the biggest moment for Kendrick Lamar was the Super Bowl halftime show. And he couldn't do anything other than perform a song that's a diss track to Drake because that's where Drake lives in his head, rent-free. And if you're comparing the two as far as what they've accomplished so far in their rapping careers, it's not even close. I mean, obviously, Drake's been way more successful. So I was reading this column and I was thinking, I don't have a dog in the fight. I honestly could care less. But it was an interesting perspective that, like, if you really think about it, as much as people want to kind of give Kendrick Lamar, oh, he's the winner, he did that. It's like, well, yeah, but I think Drake's doing okay. I mean, his name is like still out there. Granted, he's saying what he's saying and there's different accusations, but he's been way more successful. He'll continue to be more successful. And like, I'm not sure that after the Super Bowl halftime show, like, did that help Kendrick Lamar? Like, I think people who knew him, people who like his rap. I'm not sure it like grew anything. I think if anything, it's just kind of like, all right, that was sweet. Like US won, feel like we won that one. But ultimately, if you're looking at like the long term, like, I mean, I'm not sure Kendrick Lamar wins in the long run between these two.
I'll just say this. this to me was one of those scenarios where you're looking at a guy and Drake has always been considered like the sexy light-skinned lover, right? Like people are so enamored by. Well, that's super light skin. That's like super white chocolate, sexy lover.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I take exception to that. I've got somewhat olive skin. I'm pretty sure we
well, light skin in your category is very different than light skin.
Didn't we compare in New Orleans to one another at one point?
Yeah, I mean, you're not too many shades off from me, and I'm on the darker side.
What about
guy.
me?
Like you're white.
Hey, I just remember you looked at me and you go, we're not doing this. This is not.
Yeah, we're not going to do this.
Just go, okay.
Yeah. We can do it on the radio, but we are not going to do this live and in person. I mean, we're just not going to do it. But I will say,
I look like a paper towel next to LaVar.
Some of Q's mannerisms when he got a little bit of oil in him are very light skinned. That's all I'm going to say. I mean,
damn.
I'm just going to say. And you see the way people flock to light skinned cats, man. They just seem more, like approachable, very seem like more attractive to
my dad's name is Tyrone.
I get it. I get it. That's what I'm trying to say. And in the end, the point of the matter is that if I was Kendrick Lamar and you was Drake at that bar on Thursday in New Orleans, Drake was still winning. That's all I'm going to say. And that was culminated by a win and a dub by Canada in this World Cup last night. That's all I'm saying. Canada won.
Can I take one exception with the format? And I realize we have an NHL season to play, and so we can't drag this thing out. But they split. It was a round robin. They got to play twice.
Yeah.
The USA won on their turf the first time. They won on the USA's turf. It feels like for the championship, it should be like a best of three. Like, let them play at least 1-2 more games to figure this thing out. Now, this is going to sound like a sore loser to any Canadians out there. And if you feel that way, I'm just saying, you got beat up the first time around. We took it on the chin this last time.
So let's run it back.
I'd love to see 2 more.
Let's run it back.
Let's run it back. I'd love to see a best of 3 for the actual championship of the 4 nations, as opposed to the whole round robin, format, which again, I understand how it works. It would have been nice to see a best of 3 series.
Somebody brought it up post game. Might have been Steve Levy or God, I forget who. Ray Ferrara. Somebody made the comment that there was an idea that was floated out there, kind of in jest, like, yeah, well, what about this thought that they would, you don't really need anybody else if you just every year did just for the hell of it, best of 5 series between the U.S. and Canada in hockey.
That's all you need.
People would watch.
Yeah, they would.
Like, you don't need Finland. You don't need, just have those 2 go at it yearly, make it a tradition, do some sort of an
quick
event
fix.
around it.
I like it.
It's fun, man. Like,
does that apply to the NBA? Maybe the NBA could stand to learn something from it. Euros versus Americans.
A couple years ago, baseball did this World Baseball Classic before the season.
We would lose. We would get our asses kicked.
But people loved it because
we would lose that one.
You saw, up and coming stars. You saw all these players from Japan that nobody had seen before. It was staged in the U.S. at different ballparks around, and it was before spring training, before the season, or in the midst of spring training. And they're going to bring it back, I think, in 2026 is when it comes back. But you saw that there was wow, this worked a lot better than we thought it was going to. And this had the same feel last night to where they kind of fell upon something that they've got to build on. And for as much as we want to say about, well, it's hockey and how many people care about it in this country, I guarantee you people will start following the sport and start following the NHL based on what they saw.
Because it's an easy marketable deal, right? You can leverage that in the market. It's relevant within each market. And let me ask you, what do you think the percentage of Canadians playing in the NHL are? Plus, you have NHL franchises that are in Canada. So what would that population be? I'm sure it's significant enough. I know we get their biggest stars coming to play in the NHL.
So 43%.
Listen, imagine that.
43% are from Canada.
43%.
just a little history on this. Dating back to the 1980s, it used to be 75%.
Damn.
Yeah.
They're better.
I
mean, in theory, you would consider them to be better. I mean, I think it would be interesting. And honestly, maybe every single sport could benefit from that. Instead of doing the Pro Bowl where you take the all pros and you do this weird ass watered down deal, have them play the best mother lovers that play in Canada. Have like the second tier guys. You wouldn't watch that?
Well, yeah, I just don't know that they could field a team.
Nah, bro. They play football in Canada. I don't know if you watch Canadian football. They play football in Canada.
Okay.
All I'm going to say is it would bring a different market into watching a singular game because of the pride of Canada versus the U.S. versus Canada. Don't use the best of the best. Use those ones. Give them a bonus. And send them out there and have a real-ass exhibition game against the best of the best in the Canadian Football League. That gives you what you want with the American viewers. It gives you what you want for the Canadian viewers, and it gives you an opportunity to showcase players that might have needed an opportunity to get some exposure. I would do it in basketball too. You want to make a different format that matters to the fan, where it's like there's a sense like Q was talking about earlier in the week, where there's a sense of pride or the intensity. You think an American NFL football player wants to lose a game to a Canadian League football player? Let them lose that game. You know how much scrutiny and criticism would come upon the NFL and the players if they lost? I guarantee you, with that bonus money and with them playing that game with the pride of USA, they would play their asses off.
It's like the Olympics. Watching the NBA, players go over and play in the Olympics for USA.
You don't want to see them lose.
Yeah.
You do not want to see what we believe is we're the superpower. We are the ones that are superior to everybody else.
Well,
if you lose, it is the end of the world.
Unless you bet on the other team.
Oh,
like
you.
Like who'd they have? I think the Sudan.
They almost won.
Took the U.S. to the wire last year or something like that.
They almost won.
I mean, you got them at plus 40 or something. I mean, that's a big payday.
Yeah, but that's you're moving the goalposts. Like forget Sudan. Like I'm saying, take the superpower of taking the best players, which, by the way, a lot of those players are American football players that, air quotes, were not able to make it playing in the NFL. Imagine you take the all-stars, the best of the best out of the Canadian Football League, off their teams. You put them together, and they represent Canada in an exhibition game against what would be perceived as the best of the best of the NFL, but it would not be the best of the best. You're not putting Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen out there. You're putting Dak Prescott or somebody out there.
Imagine Chad Kelly lighting up Vic Fangio's defense.
Come on, man. Come on, man. You tell me you wouldn't want to. I would rather attend that game than the Super Bowl. I would actually want a ticket to go watch that game.
Jonas is an idiot.
He is an idiot.
Why? You did not realize how he slipped that in there.
He did.
First off, Chad Kelly's not born in Canada, Jonas.
Well, yeah, but he plays for the CFL.
I figure
it doesn't mean he's going to represent that
You don't
side.
think he could do a 23andMe and find out he's got a relative from Toronto somewhere?
Dang. Probably not.
Dang.
Well,
I mean, are you basing that off of just him being related to Jim Kelly and maybe being some crazy situations? It feels like a loose accusation. That's all I'm saying.
It's not that far off.
There's something wrong.
Jonas loves slipping in weird little sidebars. I figured that's what he meant. I didn't know who the second one was, but I knew who the first one was. So it's fine.
Sheesh.
You didn't see when he gave you that little grin?
He did. He looked over with his little fang hanging out his mouth. I mean,